Hey everyone, it's Michael, and today I'm going to be talking about another Give Yourself Goosebumps book. This is book number 1, as a matter of fact, one that's very, very popular and very common amongst many people who have been exposed to Give Yourself Goosebumps in any way, fashion, or form. Everyone seems to own this book who knew anything about Give Yourself Goosebumps. Anyway, it is Escape from the Carnival of Horrors. Look at this awesome holographic cover. Don't you just love that? That like golden kind of, I don't know what they're supposed to be, but I don't know, it's a cool looking cover, have an alligator, yeah. Escape from the Carnival of Horrors. Now there is 2 of these books. There is another in the Give Yourself Goosebumps book series. I think it's number 22, called Escape or Return to, something like that. Return to Carnival of Horrors, I don't know. This book was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I have to tell you, out of the Give Yourself Goosebumps books, this, again, is one of the best ones. It is such a fantastic and fun read. It has so many references to Goosebumps books that have already come out previously in the last 3 years before this book was released in 1995 or 6, somewhere in there. It has references to some of the biggest Goosebumps properties out there. Everything from Curly to Slappy to Monster Blood. Slappy literally has a cameo in the book. I've never heard anybody talk about that. Never heard a single person mention that before. I really dug this book. I had a great time. And one of the things about this book, as amusing and fun and silly and wild and crazy and even tense and scary sometimes as the other Choose Your Own Adventure or Choose Your Own Goosebumps, Give Yourself Goosebumps, whatever you want to call them. They're basically Choose Your Own Adventure books where you choose every page, well, almost every page, which choice you want to make, and it'll tell you to turn to a different part of the book. This has some of the best humor of this series, easily. Some of the best humor in all of Goosebumps, in my opinion, in general. It was so much fun. Basically, you and a friend of yours that's a girl who is kind of rude, kind of always wants her way, kind of a bully almost, not even really a friend, but more of a bully. And then another friend who's a guy who's kind of sheepish, kind of scared about a lot of things. The 3 of you magically came across this fence around a carnival that's about to open up, like I think it's the next day, and it's close to, it's nighttime at the time that you find this, essentially. And you have to be able to escape this place by the time midnight comes around. This place happens to be called the Carnival of Horrors. I am the kind of person, for anybody who doesn't know, who when I read these books, I sit down and read every single page of it. I try to not start from beginning and read to the end, but I try to mark with like 8 different bookmarks what choice I need to go back to next to read all of the endings, because I have a fun time reading these whole books. They're really fun to check out all the endings. They have about 20 endings. And this one, like I said, is one of the best ones. I love summertime type books that take place at carnivals. I just do. And that's one of the reasons I always had so much animosity towards Nightmare on Clown Street, which is one of the most wanted Goosebumps book series era, whatever you'd like to call it. One of the books from that series. It let me down so much because it had so little emphasis on the carny aspect. Your main character had become a carny in that book. And yet this book is what I'm talking about. This was such a fun carnival horror story. If you like carnival stories, no matter what genre, no matter whether you're a Goosebumps fan or not, this is a fantastic place to start reading Goosebumps or to start reading carnival stories or anything like that. This was so much fun. I had a great time reading it. It was so wild and wacky and, again, funny. It was one of the funniest Goosebumps books I've ever read. I can't tell you how many times I legitimately laughed out loud. And I'm really surprised, too, by how much, not gore, but violence is in the actual book. There's at one point, a person in the book turns into a giant, and the way it's worded is that the giant gets mad at you or something, and it puts your arm in its mouth, and it bites down, and it's like, really hard. You know, something like that is how I put it. So basically, you got your arm bit off, and it just left out all the gory details and stuff. This book is pretty risky to give to kids who grew up on Goosebumps, in my opinion. But it was fun. It was a really fun time. I'm trying to think if there's any bigger details that I'm kind of missing out on. Well, let's kind of talk about the first choice you get in the book. So all these books really start off with that Robert Frost poem type of the road not taken type of attitude. Like, what am I going to make for my first choice? The first big choice you get in this book is whether you want to go in or out. If you want to go in or stay out of the theme park fence. Once you get in there, you get caught by this guy. He basically tells you that you must try out the theme park that night to give them kind of feedback before they open. which is fine. You're a bunch of kids in the story, so you guys don't care. You guys are having a great time. Well, the big first choice you have to make outside of those choices I just mentioned is whether you want to go to kind of the space roller coaster type area where you just ride rides. It's essentially the ride half of the theme park, because the theme park's divided up into two halves, and the second half is nothing but like games and stuff like a fortune teller, that kind of thing, you know. And it's real fun. It does everything right, whether it be the rides, whether it be something like those fortune teller type things, or some of the games you have to play, like there was one about a wheel. It's kind of like the Wheel of Fortune, but not really. It was like you had like a diagram circle on the page, and it was divided up into little sections, and you had to basically, according to the book, you had to close your eyes and spin your finger around, and then do each option that you stopped your finger on. Which was kind of cool. It was kind of a neat thing. Like I said, there's a lot of cool games in here you get to play. I like when people call these books game books, because that's basically what they are, is a game book. And it's fun. I can't imagine what it would have been like to have been a kid in reading this, when Goosebumps was really at the height and peak of its excitement and its popularity. It was such a fun read. These books in general, these Give Yourself Goosebumps books, I've read close to like 8 or something, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that. And I'm having a ball with them. They're some of the best Goosebumps stuff I've read. In some ways, they're better than most Goosebumps things I've read. They're just really enjoyable. I couldn't recommend them enough. Again, I recommend this one mainly on the premise of what I recommend Goosebumps books as. For example, if you're afraid of dolls, read Night of the Living Dummy. If you're afraid of green goop and slime from the 90s, read Monster Blood. You know what I mean? Like, I try to recommend things in that capacity. If you have either a fear or an interest in carnivals and like fairs, like state fairs and county fairs and stuff, read this book. If this is your first Give Yourself Adventures book, or your first ever Choose Your Own Adventure book, where you, like I said, you read it, you pick out what choice you want to do, I'd recommend this hands down. This is such a fun read. You have no idea what you're missing out on. I can't believe so many people that I talk to that grew up and who are older than me during the 90s still don't know about this, even if they were fans of the original Goosebumps books like I was in the early 2000s and late 90s. A lot of people don't know about the Give Yourself Goosebumps books, and it really surprises me. Again, this is the first one, and to be such a home run on its first book in that series is amazing to me. It really surprises me. Anyway, guys, when it comes to Give Yourself Goosebumps #1, Escape from the Carnival of Horrors, it was a great time. I really enjoyed it, especially for a summertime read. This is one of the best summertime books I've read for Goosebumps this last couple of months, where I've been reviewing all the summertime campy type books from this franchise. One of the best, easily. If I'd rate this book on a 5-star basis, I'd give it about a 4 out of 5, but it's kind of a high 4. It'd almost be a 5, but I don't think it has enough to get there for me. But again, if you're a huge fan of Goosebumps, like things like, especially Horrorland, yes, Horrorland is talked about so much in this book, more referenced. I don't like to say talked about, because it really isn't used by name, except for like at one point, but there are so many references to other books throughout the original classic era, the 62-book series that was the first ever series. There were so many books referenced here that I easily could have missed things, because I haven't read most of those books. There's a good chance I missed a bunch of references. I don't know. But I had a fantastic time. I definitely recommend it. If you guys haven't read this book, you need to check it out. I'm telling you. Anyway, thank you for watching, folks. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today. And yeah, 4 out of 5 from me. It was a good one. Goodbye.